Impact of extreme climate on biodiversity and ways to protect it in agriculture. Climate change is having a profound impact on biodiversity worldwide, and the agricultural sector is no exception. Extreme weather events, shifting temperature and rainfall patterns, and the spread of pests and diseases are all contributing to the loss of biodiversity in agricultural ecosystems. This loss of biodiversity has significant implications for the sustainability and resilience of agricultural systems, as well as for the provision of ecosystem services that support human well-being. One of the main impacts of climate change on biodiversity in agricultural systems is the loss of genetic diversity in crops and livestock. Genetic diversity is critical for the adaptation of agricultural systems to changing environmental conditions, as it provides the raw material for the development of new crop and livestock varieties that are more resistant to pests and diseases, more tolerant of drought and heat stress, and more productive. The loss of genetic diversity in agricultural systems can therefore limit the ability of farmers to adapt to the impacts of climate change and reduce their resilience to future challenges. Another impact of climate change on biodiversity in agricultural systems is the loss of habitat for wild species. Agricultural expansion and intensification have led to the fragmentation and degradation of natural habitats, reducing the availability of habitat for wild species and contributing to their decline. Climate change is expected to exacerbate these impacts, as shifting temperature and rainfall patterns and the spread of pests and diseases can further reduce the availability of suitable habitat for wild species. Addressing the loss of biodiversity in agricultural systems requires a multifaceted approach that considers the social, economic, and environmental dimensions of sustainability. One key area for promoting biodiversity conservation in agriculture is the promotion of agroecology. Agroecology is an approach to agriculture that emphasizes ecological principles and the integration of biodiversity into agricultural systems. By promoting the use of diversified farming systems, reducing the use of chemical inputs, and promoting the conservation of natural habitats and wild species, agroecology can help to promote biodiversity conservation in agricultural systems and improve their resilience to the impacts of climate change. Another important area for promoting biodiversity conservation in agriculture is the promotion of sustainable land use practices. Sustainable land use practices, such as conservation agriculture, agroforestry, and mixed farming systems, can help to promote biodiversity conservation by reducing the environmental impact of agriculture. Promoting the conservation of natural habitats, and improving the resilience of agricultural systems to the impacts of climate change. In addition to promoting agroecology and sustainable land use practices, there is also a need to promote policy and institutional frameworks that support biodiversity conservation in agriculture. This includes promoting policies that promote the conservation of natural habitats and wild species, investing in research and development of new crop and livestock varieties that are more adapted to changing environmental conditions, and promoting the use of sustainable and ethical business practices in the agricultural sector. Finally, there is a need to promote awareness and education about the importance of biodiversity conservation in agriculture. Consumers, policymakers, and farmers all have a role to play in promoting biodiversity conservation in agriculture. And promoting awareness and education about the social and environmental impacts of agriculture can help to mobilize support for conservation initiatives and promote sustainable consumption patterns. Another important aspect of promoting biodiversity conservation in agriculture is the need to address the impacts of agricultural practices on soil health. Soil health is critical for the functioning of agricultural ecosystems, as it supports the growth of crops and provides a range of ecosystem services, such as nutrient cycling and water